Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where we talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Killing Eve. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. First and foremost, there's a whole situation with Villanelle and Elaine at the beginning. She's like, oh, like, if you were to, kill me, how would you do it? And she's like, I don't know, take some time to figure it out, but it's like, it would involve that small chair. She's like, all right, have a seat. She's like, not in that tiny chair, just sit here. And so it's like, okay, obviously we know Villanelle kind of had a breakdown last episode. Her last kill wasn't that, stylish as it normally is. Obviously, she kind of left a mess. I'm sure Dasha probably wouldn't even Dasha's reporting it. Well, I would assume so, because they know about her wound and everything, so I'm assuming Dasha kind of brought up her concerns, because it's like, oh yeah, Villanelle's like, yeah, she's like, I'm done, I'm retiring. And so obviously Elaine is just kind of like, oh, is this where your arm got hurt? And then she it's like, oh, I was expecting her to go real mean or something. I thought she was going to squeeze it and just hurt Villanelle, but she squeezes it a little bit and then she hugs her, and I was like, not where I expected this scene to go. She's petting her head, rubbing her head against. It's like, oh, you know why I love you so much, Villanelle? Is because you're an agent of chaos. And basically for her, it's just like, she likes what blossoms from chaos. So that's why she likes Villanelle. It's like, you're a monster. And she's like, oh, you think I'm a monster? I don't think in Villanelle's eyes she's ever seen herself as a monster. So to hear someone else kind of describe her as a monster, I think it's kind of an interesting thing. But it's just kind of like, yeah, but you're wounded and everything, so she wants it seems like the new Villanelle. It makes you wonder, has Rena always been a part of the 12? Has she always been kind of their go-to, or is she their most recent go-to now that Villanelle's potentially out of the picture? But it's like, Villanelle's like, no, give me one more job, let me and Dasha handle it. And she's like, well, we could always see in Rena. She's like, oh, so thank you for the inappropriate touching. It actually felt good. And she's like, also, you talked about trying to kill me, but I'd kill you before you killed me. And Villanelle's like, sexy. And I'm just like, she's so twisted. And it's interesting. I wasn't expecting Elaine to kind of be a killer, for her to say something like that. I would have killed you before you had a chance to kill me. So, it's like, oh, that's interesting. Kind of a little bit of I'm like, meow. I guess it's just interesting because she already has that thing kind of with Eve, so I guess this is kind of the opposite spectrum, where Eve's not necessarily a killer, but oh, here's someone who's dangerous, and I don't know whether that's just from monster to monster flirtation, or was that just being oh, you actually have piqued my interest because you said that, because I'm actually curious, but it's I'm actually really good at what I do, so don't get it twisted type of thing. I don't know. So there's that. There's the whole Irina situation. I love with Constantine, him being hey, talking to the doctor. He's even trying to pay the doctor off to be we're going on vacation. And he grabs his chest at one point. I'm like, oh, is he having a heart attack? And it's just he, understandable considering everything that's going down. But essentially, it's just kind of oh yeah, Irina says that she wishes she could go back in time so she can run her mom's husband or boyfriend. No, her mom, your ex's boyfriend over again. And he's just laughing at her. He's like, oh, this is no laughing matter. Constantine's like, I know. Do you see the seriousness on my face? Essentially, it's oh, she's smart, but she's also manipulative. He's like, I know. The fact is, she tells me to go eat a dick in Icelandic. But also, it's just she has no empathy. So it's has she always been like that? Has Villanelle influenced? I'm curious, how much is just, but he's just kind of we have a special vacation. It's just, he's upset because it's this screws up their plans entirely. So obviously, he goes to see her because the doctor won't let her go. Because he's even Constantine, oh, you were literally the one straight up doctor in this place. Anyone else I'd be able to pay off, but look, unfortunately I got you, and you're not going to be paid off to let my daughter go. It's yeah, she kind of has to stay. So puts a wrench in this whole plan. So obviously he's trying to she is kind of treating this like a game. She's like, oh look, someone gave me a toothbrush. That also acts as a shank. She's like, yeah, this place is actually pretty dope. And he's kind of yelling at her, but she's like, oh, because he's don't look at anybody, don't talk to anybody. And she's walking away. He's like, what the hell are you doing? She's like, you told me not to talk to anybody. And he's like, basically, he's not in the mood for her smart ass nature. He's like, the fact of the matter is, he's like, I have all these plans and stuff like that. She's like, oh, you're putting on the act and everything. He's like, I'm not acting. She's like, yeah, it's called overacting. And then he's like, no, I'm going to come back for you in a couple of days. She's like, wait, you're actually going to leave without me? He's like, yes, but I'll come back for you in a couple of days. She's like, you're a liar. And as he's leaving, tells him to eat a dick. Because it's kind of literally he's like, you have no idea. There's so many damn balls up in the air, kind of basically about what my life could end up being. So like basically his life is in danger. He tells about it later. Literally so many people want him dead. So it's like so much is happening right now that he has too much to juggle to be worried about her, you know? So then there's this scene between Carolyn and Mo where it's like Mo can't find anything on Paul, and Paul gets his omelet and everything, and she takes his omelet because it's basically like, because you didn't do a good job, you don't deserve your omelet. And he's like, well, are you sure you're not just reading too much into this? Paul just seems pretty plain and normal. It's like, yeah, but it's him, you know, going above and beyond, trying to make it seem like, because she tells about the bottle of wine he has. It's like, no one would actually drink that, like, because I guess it's a terrible bottle of wine. So he's trying to pretend like, because he knows he's being watched, so he's putting up the pretenses of like, oh, I'm just some regular Joe Schmo. I'm not like, it's hard to say regular Joe Schmo when you're part of like, you know, MI6 and all of that. But it's just like, you know, he's just making it seem like he's above board and everything. Mo leaves, and then Eve shows up and she's like, here, I got you an omelet. And then Eve's like, okay, I want to find Villanelle because I think she's our best way to find the 12. And he's like, nope, you don't deserve it either. I'm like, I love that you're taking people's omelets. You took it from Mo, you're going to give it to Eve. Nope, Eve doesn't deserve it either. I'm like, did that omelet, did she actually eat the omelet, or did that omelet go to waste? But obviously it's like, Eve is kind of back to her, you know, kind of obsession with Villanelle. Like, her justification is like, oh, this is about, you know, going after the 12. Because obviously it's like her life has gotten destroyed by all of this and stuff like that too. But Carolyn's just kind of like, yeah, Carolyn has her own business to attend to. She's like, she doesn't want Eve's situation to kind of like complicate what she's doing right now. Which Eve, you know, Bear finds Eve digging in the trash and stuff like that. And it's like, ew, who recycles underwear? He's like, yeah. He has this look on the face like, oh, I guess that was him recycling his boxers. But she's trying to find the cake. He's like, yeah, is this one of those things where like, we're going to pretend like this isn't happening? She's like, I'm looking for the cake. It's like, Villanelle sent it to me, the box. If I can find it, I can trace, you know, use that as a means. They go inside. The place has been tossed. The cops had rated them for like, oh, this and that, working with criminals on a dark web. And Eva's like, do we do that? And he's like, we don't not do that. And so I also love Bear being like, wait, I'm out of a job? This is the one place people don't make fun of me behind my back. And Jamie's like, that's what you think. He's like, you know, it's like, well, Bear's helping her do whatever he needs to. And Jamie's like, you know what? I'm going to go over here and I'm going to drink. So I love that whole situation of like, obviously like Bear's helping her out, looking into all this like Villanelle stuff. And I love the whole thing of like, yeah, like Eve was on the phone. Like, I know you normally don't give out information about people you know sell, okay, but like my husband most recent was in an accident, and she's like, oh, thank goodness that you found something, Bear, because I didn't know where I was going with that. And Jamie's like, yeah, the whole my husband got pitchforked is quite the cliche. And then Eve's looking at him almost like, what the fuck, man? Jamie's almost like, sorry, it's just obviously it's been a day. But I love that whole situation. So it's like, you know, doing some illegal stuff, and it's just like, oh, would you be able to do that? He's like, well, not illegally. She's like, oh, all right, do it. And he's like, well, you know, and he's like, you can't get raided twice. It's a rule. I'm like, what kind of rule says you can't get raided twice? Maybe there is some rule. I don't think so. That sounds super not right, but okay. But obviously they find the card that's connected to Dasha and Villanelle, so lets her know that they're in was it Arden, Scotland, and when they're showing up there, and it's like both of them trying to take control of the operation, because Dasha's like, okay, this is our cover, and Villanelle's like, no, we're going to do this because I changed my mind. And then they both answered, like, obviously they're giving different answers. It's like, oh yeah, Villanelle's like, my mom's making a joke or something like that, and they're both, it's like, yeah, she has dementia, and then just kind of walks away, and it's just kind of like the lady ringing them up at the front was just kind of looking like, wait, what? And then things really get interesting in the elevator, because it's kind of like this back and forth, you know, about, because obviously for Dasha, it's like, well, the moment I go back to Russia, I kind of have everything I want. The fact of the matter is, you know, luckily I got all that I want before the 12 found out that you are the mess that you are, because it's like they already gave me what I want. So like this is kind of like a celebration. And obviously, you know, Eve is trying to be like, oh, like, I mean, not Eve, I did that before. Villanelle is trying to be like, Russia isn't what you think it is. It's changed a lot. But for her, it's like, oh yeah, I'll be with my son and everything. It's like, oh, you didn't know I had a son, did you? It's like, well, yeah, I did. And the fact of the matter is, basically, I'll get to die with my feet up, like back home with my feet up. She's like, I might not get the hero's welcome and stuff like that, but she's like, that's not what I want. It's like, you kind of want that. So if they're not going to celebrate you as a hero, it's kind of like, because Villanelle was like, who's going to care about you? You're someone belonging to a very long, forgotten, bygone era. Like, no one's going to care about you. And then Villanelle was like, oh yeah, give me your son's number, because it's like, does he have halitosis like you? I mean, she's like, no, but seriously, I need to call him, and just kind of walks away. And then you can see Dasha slightly checking her breath to just make sure, and I'm like, I love that. Along with all that is one of my favorite bits of this episode. It just, because it's the gift that keeps on giving. Constantine walks into his room. He walks into his house and he flicks the light on. I was like, damn it! I was hoping the light would be off so someone would scare you. Literally, as I'm literally thinking that, Geraldine scares the shit out of him. He's like, why do people keep waiting in the dark? He's like, I love that. I'm like, and it's back to back. This is the third time this season, but it's like back to back episodes that this has happened. First it was Paul, now it's Geraldine. I love it. And she's like, she's preparing a dinner and stuff like that for him. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry. It's just like, Mom, she feels like she's close to something. And he's like, what kind of steak is it? She's like, filet mignon. And he's like, oh, I like that. And she throws everything down because she's like, Mom was right, you are using me. He's like, oh, okay. She's like, you're just gonna, what was it? I forgot what the phrasing she used. It was so good because it was like, you're just gonna, basically, you're just going to disappear. And he's like, I'm not going to disappear. Okay, I'm going to leave. But the fact of the matter is, she's like, you manipulated someone who's going through something, who lost their brother. And he was like, yes, the person who would do that is a shit. He's like, I'm a shit. I got close to you just to get close to find out what your mom was doing. She's like, I hope you die. He's like, honestly, probably will. And I was like, wow. So that kind of ruined things that were kind of settled there. But it was like, oh, I guess for him, it's just kind of like, no point of stringing you along. I'm not working for the 12 anymore. I'm on a run. So no point in have these pretenses, kind of move on with your life. Just kind of, I guess kind of cutting a string and everything between them. But it's just kind of like, oh, you kind of feel bad because you could see how heartbroken Geraldine is. So it almost shows you just like the benefits of having your heart on your sleeve and the disadvantages. Because like the parallels between her and her mom, because her mom is, as she says later on, kind of like cold. It prevents her from being in a situation like that. To be fair, Constantine still was able to kind of like maneuver. I mean, that's just, he's good at what he does. So there's that whole situation. There's a situation of like, obviously Villanelle and Dasha's kill. It's like, all right, so who's going to get it? Obviously, Dasha is looking at this as an because Villanelle is offering the kill to her. So it's like, no, you can do it. I didn't realize who it was, the guy they're trying to kill. I didn't realize it until we got closer to him. If you're familiar with a game called Heavy Rain, Quantum Dreams, David Cage and all that, that's the actor who played Shelby. That's like the best thing I know that actor from. I don't know if I've ever seen him in anything else. He's done other stuff. It's just like, that's what I best know him from. I was like, that's fucking Shelby from freaking Heavy Rain. That's crazy. But I love that, like, Villanelle, when she was trying to get his attention, because it's like, oh yeah, she lost her ball, and it's like, oh, we need your help to find. She's like, hello, and couldn't get their attention, and she's like, hey, and they're like, oh, could you help us find my ball? And then she's like playing into like the misogyny of it, like, oh yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I remember. He's like, most women would just kind of, want to find it themselves rather than get the man's help because just to show that they can. And she's like, I know. She's like, I come from a day where like men could be men and women were women. Like obviously she's playing into it, but all the shit that he's saying, he's like, oh, I'm just joking and stuff like that. He's saying super misogynistic shit, and then they're just like, haha. And then it was like Villanelle was like, no, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna be the one to kill him. And so they got everything set up and everything, and just he's bending over helping look for the ball, and they're like, oh my god, there's no belts in America because his crack is out. He's major plumber crack. And just Villanelle's like, all right, one. And the entire time I'm like, was she planning on killing Dasha? I was like, I guess not. And then lo and behold, two, and then she whacks Dasha instead. I was like, okay. I wasn't 100%. I had a feeling, but I also was thinking at the same time, I'm like, you didn't confirm that she was dead. This is the third time someone that was close to you've attempted to kill. I wonder, was she always planning on doing that to Dasha? She needed someone with her because she knew if like she brought Rena or someone, that would be someone less well, because if Rena went along with her, it most likely be like a situation where Rena would most likely end up killing her. But it's also because like I wonder, it's probably all the mad shit talking Dasha was doing this episode. That's probably extra reason why she did. It probably was a little more oomph in it just for that. But I don't know whether she knows she killed. I mean, she didn't stake around to confirm, but to be fair, she never did. She did it with Constantine. She didn't with Eve. So that's why I was like, is Dasha actually dead? She lets Home Dude run, and I love that as he's running, his pants are falling down further. I'm like, wow, more and more ass is coming out. That's not even plumber crack anymore. And then, like, Eve is on her way and the guy that's driving, it's like, oh yeah, basically him and his wife listen to like murder related stuff. And it's like, oh, not like we're really into it or anything like that, but it's like, you know, like, I mean, we're law abiding citizens, so we never do it. He's just kind of like, right. And then they run into Home Dude in the road and he's like, oh my God. And she's like, what did the woman look like? And he's saying basically all these introducing the script. And he's like, beautiful lady, nice figure. I'm like, why don't you start with the obvious thing of like, yeah, blonde? I mean, I guess that doesn't give you any description because like Villanelle she usually ends up putting on wigs and stuff like that anyway, so I guess it's not that much of a descripting, but it's just like, and then Eve was like, okay, get out. And he's like, wait, what? Get out. And he's like, what is wrong with this vile country? I love that you can't just like bring the dude in and then drive to where Villanelle and Dasha were. You could have just done that, but no, you didn't. You just let the poor bastard in the middle of the street while it's raining. She gets there and finds Dasha. It's like, oh, okay. It's like, oh, he has she's like, what'd she say? It's like, oh, he has a mustache like Stalin. And then Eve pulls away looking like, wait, what? And then Dasha's laughing. Eve puts her fucking foot on her chest. I was like, what? Whoa. And she's pressing down. You see this look on like satisfaction on her face. I was like, oh, shit. I mean, to be fair, she was going after the 12 anyway, but more specifically, she wanted to go after the person. I was thinking, like, are you going to go all the way? But it turns out, as we find out later on, I was like, is Dasha? Because it looked like she was breathing at one point, but it seemed like she might have stopped, but it might have just been she was slowing down so much. But sadly, we do find out she is still alive, so Eve didn't cross that line. But it's like, after Villanelle had gotten away from Dasha, she meets up with Constantine, and she's like, what took you so long? He's like, I don't want to talk about it. And as they're walking, he's like, dude, everyone wants me dead. So-and-so wants me dead. The 12 wants me dead. My own daughter wants me dead. The fact of the matter is, my ex's boyfriend would want me dead if he, wasn't dead. And he bumps into a guy, the dude's like, watch where you're going. He's like, that random guy wants me dead. She's like, you said you don't want to talk about it, but all I hear is like, yeah, I don't want to talk about it. But all I'm hearing is you talking. So it's type of thing of like, he's stressed out because he's like, because he's had to basically like, literally he's always going to have a target on his back. So it's like, what is he going to do? Like, people are going to want me dead and stuff like that. And she's like, oh, if you die, you could die basically wearing like almost like a certain type of shirt or whatever. And then he stops because he starts gripping his chest, and Villanelle's like, are you faking it? And he's like, oh shit. I was like, is a heart attack really what's going to do you in? And then Villanelle's like, honestly, I don't want you to die. And it's like, oh, that's actually sweet. I mean, it's kind of like, where's the money? Because I'll come back for you. And it's like, well, will she actually come back for you? I think she will, because despite everything, she does care. Like, I mean, to be fair, she did try to kill Constantine before because she was kind of ordered to. But once again, she was actually excited to know that she didn't kill him. It's actually interesting because there was a conversation between Elaine and Villanelle where it's like, okay, tell me what's actually bothering you. I don't want there to be secrets between us. And she's like, it's my mother. It's like, yeah, what happened? When I was 3, I took a shit in her shoe, a really big poop. And it's just kind of like, she had a tear rolling down her face. It's like, oh, like, so I was like, because she doesn't want to open up. It's like, you don't want to open up to Elaine because if you start, I mean, to be fair, she's not the most about opening up and stuff like that anyway, but it's the whole thing of like, can't let them really know what you're really, really planning. So I guess that's why she didn't say anything, because that probably would have been an indicator of what might be really going on. So I guess that's why she didn't say anything. But she takes off. And she's on the train. Eve catches up, and then like she notices Eve, and she waves at her, and then Eve waves back at her. I'm like, what is this moment right here? It's like, long lost friends. I mean, to be fair, they haven't seen each. Well, I was about to say they've only had one. It's actually interesting. This is the first time they've actually had this is only the second time they've had a direct interaction, like a scene together. Jody and Sandra, like this is only the second scene they've ever had together. Like, well, this season. Obviously, they had their moment on the bus and everything, but it was just kind of like almost, not even just friends, like almost distant lovers of like, oh, star-crossed lovers of almost like, oh, we were so close, you know? There was even, I completely forgot about that line from Carolyn that confused the hell out of Eve. She's like, Eve, the hero only gets the girl in movies. And then Eve had this look on her face like, what the fuck does that even mean? It's like, because you're trying to get your girl. That's what this kind of comes down to at the end of the day. So there's that. There's even the situation with Carolyn, because like sadly we see Mo walking through the park. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna get my omelet, I'm gonna get a bath bomb and everything. And we see Marina, it's like, oh, the 12 are catching up to you because you're looking in the Paul and stuff like that. At first, Carolyn was happy because she got Mo's message, but she never found out what he found out, only that he found out some stuff about Paul. She's like, oh, I'm gonna order takeout and stuff like that. So she was in a good mood, but then like she was in a sour mood because she found out about Mo. It's like, yeah, like the fact is Mo dying was kind of a blow in many different regards, because it's like, damn, this is someone I know that died. Differences between this and Kenny wasn't signed, like didn't know, like he was no longer part of all of this, so it's not like, you know, he didn't have the risk involved and stuff like that. Mo knew the risk of this whole situation, but it's still a thing of like, you know, that he's dead, because she's like, at this point she's like, I can't help but feel like it's very personal. First you kill my son, now you kill one of my associates. It's like, you know, it's starting to look very personal to her. So, and obviously, you know, Geraldine is just kind of like wanting to comfort her mom. He's like, don't touch me, don't do that. She's like, I just want to, I'm not to go for you. I'm trying to hug you. She's like, don't do that. She's like, Mom, you can't, you're cold as ice. Like, the fact of the matter is, you can't go through the entire life, like, the rest of, what are you going to do, go the rest of your life never feeling anything? Like, you got to show some emotions. You can't keep that all bottled up. And so she starts, like, breaking shit, kicking shit, knocking stuff over. And it's like, is that the reaction you wanted? And walks away. And I'm like, I think for Geraldine, it's like, oh, that's better than nothing, I guess. Because at least this, in her eyes, is probably like, oh, at least I know you're feeling something. But it is a situation of like, you know, her mom hasn't let her in on like, oh, the fact is you're looking into Kenny's murder and stuff like that. Like, probably if you did, I'm curious to see how that would kind of like make her feel. I don't know. It didn't, you know, it's just kind of like now, you know, because I think obviously like this was kind of like her last ditch. Well, not necessarily her last ditch effort, but, you know, it's just kind of like this. She was so at least close to exposing Paul and everything, so things didn't work out on her end. Things didn't 100% work out on Eve's end either, but it's interesting because like Villanelle calls her and goes like, oh yeah, we need to stop meeting like this, it's not good for either one of us. I was like, okay. And then there's the whole thing about the nurse and the hospital asking Constantine if he's under any undue stress, and he's laughing. And she's like, yeah, because it usually causes heart attacks and stuff like that. Like, are there some problems going on that you want to try? And he's just laughing because it's just like, huh? And then someone else starts laughing. I'm like, what the hell is that? Kurt, and then it gets revealed that Dasha's right beside him, and he's like, damn. So that means Dasha probably will most likely kill him for the 12 type of situation. That adds another person to the list that's going to potentially kill him, especially considering what happened with Villanelle now too. So it's just kind of like, huh? Well, now he's in a position where they can easily kill him. Villanelle promises to come back for him. Will she actually do it? Is Dasha going to end up dead? Like, is it going to... I doubt Eve... will Eve try to finish the job? I don't know. Will Villanelle try to finish the job? I don't know. I'm sure Rena, as well as the 12, and Lena in particular. I'm wondering, will that come down to a showdown next episode? I don't know. Next week's episode is the season finale, so I'm really interested to ultimately see where all of this takes us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.